Hey everybody. Uh, I just wanted to give you a little PowerPoint discussion of that first pedagogical exercise that we're going to be working on. And this is due on June 10th. This is our first one, and I really don't know how much experience you all have with writing these kinds of papers. So let me know if you have any questions. Let's take a look at a few things here. So the first thing is what the assignment is I want you to look at one particular grammatical issue, and that is the function of existence as it is expressed by using the phrase there is or there are. And it's a strange grammatical function for folks learning the language because it kind of throws the whole subject verb thing out of whack. The two parts of the assignment are first, the first half of the paper, you're going to write a grammatical explanation of the expressions, and I want you to address the form, what actually is going on, how would you describe it grammatically, and also the function. Why is it being used? When would it be used? And then the second half is I want you to figure out how would you sort of introduce this to a specific group of students, and how would you present it? How would you have them practice it? Those kinds of things. So in a sense, sort of building a sort of an extended lesson plan with this subject. This there is and there are. So for the first part, explaining the grammar, describe the form. What is the grammatical item, and what are the scope of things that might happen. Then when would you use it? When would your students use it is actually even more important. Are there differences in terms of the register? The grammar book that we've been using, they focus on 4 different registers: conversation, academic writing, fiction, and news. So that may be one starting point. If there are differences, is it more common in one or in the other? In looking in explaining the grammar, I want you to use at least 3 different sources, and one of those sources should be our book, the student grammar. I've sent you some resources where I've actually copied the relevant pages from a few different really good grammar books, so that if you're having trouble finding good grammar sources, uh, uh, where you're located, then this could help you. You can see on our e-reserves list, there's a whole set of other possible sources. I have those on reserve at the Georgia State Library in downtown Atlanta, and I really don't know how to access those online other than those photocopied pages that I gave you. You're going to have to locate them locally if you can't get to the GSU library, or as I mentioned, you can use the resources I sent you. The second part are the activities. First, you want to describe who the student population is and try to sort of situate the activities that you're going to try and do within a larger curricular setting. What else is going on in the class? And really, what I want you to do is look at this as a real way to integrate grammar. So, we've been talking in the book about all this lovely terminology about grammar, which I'm sure has you pulling your hair out. You don't need to use all of that with your students. As a matter of fact, on behalf of your students, I beg you not to. So you want to figure out how are you going to integrate these ideas in a way that's going to be understandable and accessible to your students. So you also want to identify what's the focus of the lesson, what are the sequences of the activities. I recommend going from presentation to focused practice to communicative practice, and then you also need to identify how are you going to provide feedback. And as you're doing this, consider the issues of register. One thing is it going to be about spoken language and conversation? Are you going to have them doing writing? Is it going to be academic, non-academic? You get to decide all of that, and then you describe it. The expectations for this paper, it's 8 to 12 pages. That's double spaced, 12 point font. Try to make it clearly written. Don't try and write it for grammarians. Try and write it for teachers like us. And actually, one of the nice things to do would be to try and think of it as something you would want to share with other teachers who are if they say I'm having trouble with this, and then you'd have something. try to cite the references appropriately and include a reference list. In our department, we use APA, so I'm going to recommend using that. However, if you use a different format in your department, just let me know what that format is so that I can have that sense. All of the resources I sent you have APA citation or APA references listed on each page. So, and you can use that in your reference list if you like. And here are some of the resources. I don't think I have all of these resources for there is and there are. I have them, I found some things from some of these, but not all of them. And here I'm just giving you a rubric for the different parts. And this I thought it's useful because that way you have a sense of what it is I'm looking for. The first part of it I'm calling synthesis, and I'm going to be looking at what are the sources. Are they appropriate? Have you used useful information from all three sources? Are there three sources? That's important. Then the analysis. Have you looked at all those different issues that I pointed out? And then are you able to sort of combine everything in a way that makes it clear? That's the first part. The second part, which is the teaching compart, is describing the group, talking about sort of how you're going to be doing this with students. And if you have experience with students in this kind of thing, that's great. If not, you can sort of just plan what you think you would want to try and do. I mean, I understand if you don't have experience with this kind of audience, it's going to be difficult. And then, what's the plan that you have, and also the kinds of activities. Are they clearly described? And how you're going to integrate feedback into it. And then the final section is the rubric for just the writing and the APA. Since this is a graduate level course, are they is the paper well written? Is it academic? Is it well organized? And is it using the appropriate style? Like I mentioned, APA is the style I would use, but if you have a different style, just let me know, and that's fine. Okay, the due date is June 10th. Please let me know if that is becoming problematic for you, because I'm sure I can move it back a few days if you need that. Remember, we're all working on this together. It's summer. It's a compressed schedule. I know it can be crazy for folks. A lot of this crazy grammar stuff going on. My goal, just as which I'm assuming is your goal, I want you guys to, be able to use this kind of material in a real and relevant way for teaching. We're going to have another one of these then that we'll be due at the beginning of July, and that's going to be looking at the passive voice. So it's going to be a similar paper, but focused on the topic of the passive voice, which can be a real struggle for a lot of non-native speakers. And then we'll have one final pedagogical exercise, and that's the final exam for this course. And that's due at the end of the session, and it's based on a grammar topic that you choose. You're going to let me know what it is so we can make sure that it's something that I'm okay with, but you get to choose it. And as always, if you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks.